Hey everyone, Mario again, coming at you with another video. As you can tell, this is a vlog. Before I begin, I want to apologize if there's a slight glare near the top of the camera. I just blinded myself a little bit. But, when I had to change the light bulb, overhead light bulb a couple of days ago, we had to use a bigger one, so I can't put this thing over it to control how bright the light is, so it's brighter than normal. And I just looked at it in the mirror again. So just bear with it. If it's there for the next couple videos, sorry. Now anyway, as you can tell from the title of this video, this is my reaction to the latest news that Expendables 3 is being rated PG-13. Now this is one of those cases where I'm surprised, yet not surprised at the same time. Now of course, we've all heard Sly's justification for us, like, we want to reach the biggest audience possible, you know, which, I'm like, that sounds totally like a studio marketing decision. Now, I know a Lionsgate Sly has some pull, but it makes me wonder if he has enough pull anymore, whether he could actually talk to studios into not doing something like that, or if this is a decision him and the studio made jointly. It's going to be hard to tell, but it sounds, from the wording he used, it sounds more like a studio decision, but Sly's probably just going along with it, either because he wants this movie to make more money, or because he doesn't have pull. Either way, kind of stupid, but it just seems to be part of a trend now. First it was remaking movies, then it's downbeat endings, now it's going with the PG-13 rating. And I can sort of see why they do it, because the last couple of big R-rated movies, other than comedies, really haven't made any money. I mean, Last Stand didn't make any money, which is sad, because that film was actually pretty good. Sabotage didn't make any money, though I've heard negative things about it, so I can understand. Bullet to the Head didn't make any money. I believe A Good Day to Die Hard made some money. I believe, I don't know off the top of my head. That's all I can think of off the top of my head, but the last, I think, big R-rated film that was an action movie that made money, I think, was Expendables 1. Expendables 2, yeah, but that one's basically just, that one is just a glorified PG-13 if you think about it, because there's nothing really in it except for some CGI blood, that maybe some language that gets it an R rating. You take out the blood and maybe minor some of the language, you'd have a strong PG-13. Nothing like an older PG-13, but still, it's like, okay. But the thing with this is, it's just a shame that R-rated action films and most R films except comedies aren't doing that well. And I know two of my friends have already done videos on this better than I could probably do. Aaron did one, also sort of a reaction to this, but also discussing the topic in detail. And in his latest vlog, Mike OCP Communications did one, and they did very great jobs on them. Now, when it comes to the rating thing, part of the thing he mentioned is that there's a study that says that PG-13 films today are more violent than old school R-rated films. Here's my initial reaction to that. Are you smoking crack, whoever did this study? No way in heck are PG-13 films today more violent than R-rated films from the 80s and the 90s. This has come from someone who hasn't seen as many as Mike and Aaron have from that era, at least in that rating. You could just watch films like Commando, watch films like RoboCop and Total Recall. You watch those films and try and say that argument. You'll be laughed out of the freaking building. No film today that has a PG-13 rating has more over-the-top violence than Total Recall or RoboCop. Even their modern-day remakes don't. Now, there's some implied violence, like the couple scenes with the Joker in The Dark Knight, which I happen to agree with Matt, that Mike, that even though I do enjoy that film, I'd say it's slightly overrated when people say it's the best action movie in the last couple of years. I'd say that the action scenes are probably one of the weaker things in that film. Granted, Nolan shoots them semi-competently, but he's more of a story director, not an action director. Besides, that's a thriller film anyway, it's not an action film. Granted, some thrillers can cross over into the action genre, but that's not one of them. I'd say more The Last Stand crosses over into the action genre more than that one does, but anyway, I'm getting slightly off topic with that. But there's, like, as I was saying, there's like implied stuff in there, like the pencil and the mouth thing, and I do happen to agree that sometimes it's better to imply something than actually show it, because sometimes it can be a little stronger, you know. The whole in your head is stronger than anything they could show, but sometimes it's good to show it. And nothing that I've seen in a PG-13 film of the last couple of years is as violent as stuff that's in R-rated films from the past. And that's all the thing I can really touch on that. But another problem I think is with the R-rated films, I think, is the parents. I know I have to bring that up, because think about it. The parents let their kids see R-rated films, and I have no problem with that. I've been watching R-rated films since I was a kid, and I'm fine. Maybe, I don't know if desensitized would probably be the right word, maybe a little bit of that when it comes to movies, but real life stuff, I feel it. Like when a terrorist attack happens, I feel it if American citizens die. I know it's a little weird to say American citizens, but if it's like in a terrorist attack over across the other side of the world, I'm like, okay, that's sad, but I don't really feel it. Granted, I don't remember exactly what I was feeling with the 9/11 attacks. When I think about that, I'm like, the terrorist attack from last year, that was a little, wow. And of course all the mass shootings, like, you know, sad for the families, stuff like that. Like the Colorado one. That one was really sad. Especially how it happened, but you know, that's a video for another day. Now, with the parents, it's like, you can read what the rating is. It says R, and even nowadays they say what it's rated R for. If you don't want your kids to see violent bloodshed, that's your prerogative. But don't take them to see the film then, if you already know it's going to be R, and then complain about it later. Just like the parents that complained about Ninja Turtles. It's a PG rating. I'd say it's a strong PG film, but did you even, I don't think they said what the ratings were for back then, but did you even do research? I don't think you could do research that much then, but still. The film was also called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think we all know how some teenagers act. Turtles can be semi-aggressive in the wild. Ninjas. Ninjas, I think, should be the key word in that. Ninjas fight. Ninjas use weapons. Ninjas can hurt or kill people. You should be surprised if they're using their weapons a lot, beating the crap out of humans. Now, this is cursing a little bit, but it's a PG rating for something other than the fighting. Now, but let's just, the parents complain way too much on that, and then they try to blame it on something like the shooting. Oh, it's all because of that movie. It's because of that music. It's just like, quit scapegoating and have them take personal responsibility. If you're going to blame it on someone, why don't you look at how you raised the kid? And that's one thing I think that's a little funny, is the parents never take some responsibility for how their kids turn out. Granted, sometimes the kid could turn out good in spite of that, but sometimes the kid is messed up because of the parent. It's one of those nature-nurture development things. You know, you guys know I believe both nature and nurture have a play. It just depends on where the flip comes over. That is case by case. Now, with the parents, it's a sad thing. It's just, I think that is part of the reason why they haven't been making money. It's maybe a small part nowadays, but it's there. And I think it's mostly because superhero films are popular. You know, I like superhero films. They're PG-13 for the most part. We could use some R1s. Like, when was the last R-rated comic book related movie? Blade Trinity? 10 years ago? Kind of sad if you think about it. But, anyway, as I was saying, just, even though the films, for the most part, I've been enjoying, it's kind of sad. Because those films being very popular, R-rated action films that are old school throwbacks or similar to old school films are failing, or for the most part going direct to video. Kind of sad when that market is thriving on them and the theatrical market isn't, because it's fun to watch these films on the big screen. I've had fun watching The Last Stand on the big screen with two of my friends, even though I saw it solo and I'm probably the only guy that enjoyed it. At least on the big screen. Both of the Head I thought was fun. Same thing with A Good Day to Die Hard. I had fun watching those films in the theater. And both Expendables films, even though the first one's a little bit better, actually more of an R-rated film. Those were fun theater films to see in the theater. It makes me actually, when I get if I ever had the chance, I'd want to watch Commando or Total Recall on the big screen. If whoever showed them, I would try to get down there and watch them. But it's just sad that the R-rated action films are becoming like the dinosaurs, extinct. And then now Expendables 3, I think that's probably the final nail in the coffin on them. At least for now. You never know, it might come back. But now, to connect another thing back to that one article that Mike brought up, some of the films that they'd probably be comparing it to, I know one of the reasons the article's full of crap is that it only used the highest grossers instead of actually selecting films, maybe some films that were high grossers and some films that people know from that era, like Commando and all that. Now, with some of them, you would need the R rating. Like Expendables 1, you needed that R rating. Expendables 2, not really that important. This one, I'm not going to comment on, it's not released, but it's like, you're going down. Remember the last franchise that went down in ratings like that? That was RoboCop. At least that I can remember off the top of my head. Usually ratings go up. Like Star Wars, last film was PG-13. Now, the R rating can be used properly. Like Rambo, that last scene with the gun. That's an example of a film that could never have been made with PG-13. Because you would have lost the impact. The R rating is there in place because it could sometimes add something to the film. The gore sometimes adds something to the film. Like I said, sometimes it's better to imply something, but sometimes you need to see it to feel the full effect. As part of Rambo was showing what was going on in what happens in Cambodia, you need that R rating. And it also shows one of the negative sides of war, I guess. Which I guess kind of goes around with the whole Rambo thing, and I guess that's kind of why David Morrell likes that film the best out of the four. Could be that. Total Recall, you would need that R rating. The original film, if it didn't have that R rating, it would lose a lot of its impact in certain scenes, like when Arnold grabs a guy. RoboCop, it would lose a lot of its meaning if it was PG-13. It wouldn't be as funny. The satire wouldn't be as nailed home if that was a PG-13 film, or even a PG film. Trying to think of another R-rated film. I know Commando was that one over the top. Some of it's over the top nature, it'd still be there, but a lot of it's more over the top violent stuff wouldn't be. It's just sad that only comedies seem to be making money, and they're only R-rated because of the language and maybe some nudity and all that. But just sad. As for hopefully R-rated action films make a resurgence one of these days. I mean, with Rambo, they were brought back for a little bit. Maybe this is just like the beginning of a renaissance. It went up, then went down. Maybe eventually, but who knows? I mean, there were some comic book films in the 80s and 90s, but they were few and far between. So maybe this is the final nail. Maybe what will help is if we do a few R-rated comic book films. Think about it. You can't tell me that just because they're R-rated, they won't draw in dollars. Blade, that was R. Brought in people. Should have been R, but Spawn made a little bit of money, but probably would have made more if it had waited a couple years for the technology to be fully there. They're not comic book movies, but the Resident Evil movies are making money, though I think only the first one was R. I think the more recent ones are PG-13, but I could be wrong. But I know Silent Hill was R. That's made some money. You could do R-rated ones, like, I know Deadpool more likely is going to be PG-13, but if they do that, they better reference the fact that it is that, but that should be an R one. The Wolverine should have been R, but that's Hugh Jackman's fault, if anything. I'm trying to think of another one. We're never going to see an R-rated Ninja Turtles film from the studio that owns the rights, unless it's like a one-off. We're only going to see fan films like that, which is sad. Can't really think of any other one off the top of my head, but if you guys can think of any other comic book films that would make money despite an R rating, let me know. If they ever did The Dark Knight Returns, I think that one would have to be R, or at least strong PG-13 in an action one. I'd go more for R though, mainly because Batman breaks Joker's neck at one point. And Superman broke Zod's neck, but Joker's bleeding when it happens. Can't really think of any other off the top of my head, but it'd work. But in just conclusion, it's just sad that the R-rated films are basically becoming regulated to just comedies, which sometimes an R-rated comedy can really work. Blazing Saddles being a textbook example, but just sad that it seems to be the only R-rated films making money nowadays. What we need is an action comedy that makes money. That would be cool. But when was the last time we had an action comedy that was R?